What's going on, guys? Welcome to the GIFD Lifestyle. Today, very special guest, WWE superstar CESARO. CESARO, thank you so much for being here, man. Really appreciate it.
Of course, thanks for having me. I'll give you a little cheers here.
I appreciate it. Now, what's Mr. OP? I see that on your shirt. Is that your new shirt?
No, I wish I don't get merchandise nowadays. No, I when I play video games on Up Down Down, I call myself Mr. OP. So that's just my new nickname. And then I got this new machine that cuts out stuff, so I can make my own T-shirts and ring gear and stuff like that.
Cool.
So yeah, so I figured I was creative last night, so I made it. So I figured I'd wear it.
That's very cool, man. That's cool.
Thank you.
So let's I want to kind of get into your background and training, but first thing I want to say is you're very deceivingly big. Now, the one thing that I've noticed about everybody in the WWE is you guys, the guys in general, are bigger in person than you are in the ring or on TV. And the women are so much more beautiful in person than they are on TV. Like, I don't know what it is that changes the way you guys look, but you're what 6'4", 6'5"?
I'm 6'4".
6'4", and what do you weigh now?
220. Thanks to you.
And you're, and you're a lean 220. Like, you're a very lean 220.
Yeah, I would like to think so. Thanks to you. Yeah, I'm a lean 220. I think that the difference is when you see us in the ring, we're amongst our peers who are all deceptively tall, so to speak. And then I feel like every time somebody sees me, they're like, "Oh man, you're taller than I thought, or you're bigger than I thought." I'm like, "Yeah, that's because usually I'm around guys like, I don't know, like Sheamus is a large individual, and then you have like obviously like the big shows and the Braun Strowmans and all those guys, like they're deceptively big."
Definitely, without a doubt. Even though, but muscle-wise, you're thicker in person than you look on TV. Like in general, you're just bigger in general. Now, it's like, the first time I met you, I was backstage with Sheamus. My wife and I were backstage with Sheamus, and you walked in. I said, "Holy shit, he's tall." I said, I didn't realize, because Sheamus was the same way. The first time I met him, I was like, he's so much bigger in person.
Sheamus, when you first met him, was probably around 300 pounds, right? Like 280.
Yeah, he was pushing 260, 270.
Not really 280, but he will enjoy when I say that. He was about 260, 270, and he is every bit like he just is a large individual. I think he has one of the biggest biceps in WWE and definitely some of the biggest, what do you call that? Hammies, right?
Hamstrings, yeah. He's got big legs, and his arms are almost bodybuilding proportions, yeah.
Yes, his arms are, except Big E has bigger arms, but I think that's pretty much it.
So now, when you started training, were you already really tall? Did you start training as a kid, or?
So I didn't really start like weightlifting until I was probably 18, 19 years old. Like I just played sports before that, like going to the gym, I think is a more recent development in Europe. I would like to think you just play sports because we don't have the sports like in the States here when it's, when you like do it in school. We have PE in school, but then if you want to pursue another sport, you do it after, you go to like a soccer, or like a football club or basketball or tennis, whatever, you do that after. So all your free time is like you play that sport trying to get better. And then if you're really good, you get the strength training, you get all that stuff. So for me, it was when I was 18, I was like, I want to be a wrestler. So, that was my dream. So I started joining a gym and started, lifting weights.
So have you always been extremely strong for your size, or
well, I don't know. I don't really have a reference point. I just know. So I have a brother, and like he is ridiculously strong. Like he's just like super strong. So like when you shake his hand, it's like like just a strong grip. So yeah. So to me, I don't know if I've always been strong, but anytime I lifted weights, I never really did it. I just wanted it to be practical. Like that was my main thing. Like when I lift weights, when I work out, like I think when I first started, I was like, I want to lift so I have a bigger bicep. But then like after a while, I was just like, nah, I don't really care. Like especially the last 10, 15 years, like I don't care. It's a nice byproduct, but I want to be strong for the ring. Like as long as I can do whatever I can, like whatever we need to do, whatever we do in the ring at any given time, right? So and I was smart enough, and I put smart in parentheses here, to put all my impressive stuff at the end of matches. So I need to be strong at the end. So like the endurance and the strength part is a very important part.
And people don't understand. So there's guys that are big, like bodybuilder big, but they don't understand when you get in the ring how functional the strength is. And I think that's where your strength is. It's functional strength. Because I've seen you do things that I'm like, a bodybuilder, even if they're squatting 700 pounds, is not going to be able to do what you did. Or they're overhead pressing 400 pounds, they're still not going to be able to do what you did. So it's like your functional strength it's the level's really high.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd like to think that my strength is mostly functional, and that's what I also train for. But also, I'm also trying to. I would like to think I'm very good at manipulating body weight because like that's another thing. It's just like technique and how to do stuff. But yeah, that's definitely like picking up a human being is not that easy because it fights back on like a barbell.
Right. So right now you do. I know you do a lot of CrossFit stuff with Team Dead Boys and
Yeah,
Seth Rollins and
so
stuff.
I do a mix, like I do CrossFit stuff with the Dead Boys, but then I've been for years with Rob McIntyre,
Hmm.
who I met with FCW back in pre-NXT days, who was the coach of strength of John Cena and a bunch of other guys, like a bunch of Olympic like shot putters and stuff like that. And he has this app called the Emoji app, which is like a workout app where you just like log your workouts
Hmm.
and everything. So all my strength stuff is through that essentially for the past 8, 9 years, yeah.
So it's a combination of cross. So do you do like maybe 2 days CrossFit, 2 days strength training? Is there a certain system you use or?
Yeah, so I do. I work out 4 days a week right now, and that's I usually do like a little CrossFit walk to begin, like a warm up, like just like something easy, and then I lift, and then I do another CrossFit walk at the end. So I kind of bookmark it, and if I like go through injury or something doesn't feel right, I may just do one, or I obviously like adjust the lifting or adjust the cardio program because with us it's a lot of times you're banged up or something, you
Yeah.
don't really want to squat today, or like my knee hurts or my shoulder hurts. So now I'm at an age where I'm smart enough to just be like, you know what, I don't need to squat that heavy today. I'll just do something else. I do lunges or whatever. While before when you're younger, you're like, oh, I don't care, I'll squat. So
Indestructible when you're younger, just
exactly,
work
yeah.
through the
So now
pain.
it's like now I try to train smart.
So you're
It was
basically
such.
you're combining. So you do a workout of the day in the beginning. So let's say there's like, what would that consist of? Is it like a regular workout of the day, like five or
Yeah,
six different things?
yeah. So I like the stuff. So for example, like when I have like an my training right now, it's like 2 upper body, 2 lower body days, with like Olympic lifts and all that kind of stuff for the strength part, and then like the workout of the day, whatever it is, like it would be like a warm up would be like, I don't know, like toes to bar, kettlebell swings, and sit ups, and then I don't know, 3 or 4 rounds of that, just something that I can just. Obviously I warm up before, and then I
Yeah.
do that, then I lift, and then I do something that's a little bit more strenuous. But yeah, it was a big fight for me to go from 5 days to 4 days because I was like, no, I need to lift five
Right.
days, and then I did 4. But I do like active recovery and stuff like that on my days off, like I stretch and all that good stuff. So it
So you
helps.
have much more of an athletic take on your training rather than just like to try to look good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I feel like if you're athletic, like the looks will come with it, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I rather have that and be athletic and then have the looks than just train for looks and then not be athletic.
Well,
But like,
it seems to
there's
be
a way
the,
to have
the
it.
CrossFit stuff, the physique comes with the training. And at the same time, though, you're still flexible and you're
Um,
functional and everything along with it.
yeah, I feel that's very important to me because it's like it's endurance, it's flexibility, and you're trying something new. Like I'm I'm uh, I'm a stickler for proper form, so whenever I try to do something new, like I couldn't do muscle ups and all that stuff. So I'm just practicing, and trying to do it correctly and try to do it right. And it's fun because I always want to keep learning new stuff and keep improving. Um, so to me, it's important to do the same with the weightlifting because like when I started, it was strictly like curls and extensions and push and pull movements and all the basics. And then I was like, I learned that there's something like Olympic lifting, and then I was like, oh, this is amazing. That's all I want to do. So I did all that for like a couple of years, and I was like, oh, I want to do some more of this. By the way, do I look at the camera? Because like
It doesn't matter.
I'm looking at your picture, so I don't know if that looks weird and I'm just like glancing above the camera the whole time, or should I just look at the camera?
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
matter. Whichever one. It doesn't really
All right.
matter.
So just so that people know, I'm actually looking at Jerry as we talk. He's a little bit above the camera, so there we go.
So yeah, so the type of training you're doing now, like I feel like it's a good blend of what you need for the ring. Like I've talked to Seamus about this before in the past too, about how bodybuilding doesn't necessarily relate to the type of wrestling and stuff that you guys do. Like it doesn't always roll over into that, and it's not always good. Like you wind up if you're training like a bodybuilder, you're usually getting more injuries if you're training like a bodybuilder as opposed to what you're doing now.
Well, I feel like Seamus is a complete maniac.
Right.
Like, he's an absolute maniac when it comes to training. Just want to put that out there. Second, I feel bodybuilding is its own sport, right? That's like, if you bodybuild, that's where you compete. That's what you do. That's what you train for. So if you train like that, you train to look good, right? But like, they don't necessarily need to run and do the stuff that we do. So I feel like you need to take parts that work for you from bodybuilding and apply that with whatever training you would do for other sports. You know what I mean? So that's why I figured, you know, like, a lot of the guys still do bodybuilding type workouts, but I feel there's been a big change in the workout industry as of late to just incorporate more functional movements, to go more like, try more stuff, prehab, rehab, all that stuff is like big words that I didn't know a couple of years ago when I started, you know. It's like, oh, stretch a little, you'll be fine. I'm like, okay.
Well, now we have more technology and we're learning more about the body in general. We're learning more about sports nutrition, sports training. So we know now that training like a bodybuilder is not necessarily the best course of action unless you want to be a bodybuilder.
Exactly. I feel like that became a thing, you know, when I grew up, whatever you would train for, like if you were a soccer player, you just go and play soccer all day. That's what you do. If you're a football player, you would just play football all day. And then it was like, oh, how can we be strong? Okay, we go to the gym, but then you still need to train like a football player or a soccer player would, not like a bodybuilder. And I think like, just because people associated bodybuilders with gym and gym with bodybuilders, that's how they started training, not realizing, no, that's its own sport. And there's a reason why they train like they do. And, you know, there's obviously a lot of documentaries on bodybuilding out there. And it's like, that's like what they go through. That's insane. It's just, my imaginary hat is off to them.
It's insane, but the crazy part is the best that they look, like when you get on stage, you'll look your 100% best and you're your absolute weakest that you've ever been in your whole life. You literally can't even hold your head up sometimes. You're so dehydrated. You're literally one heartbeat away from death, but you look like Adonis. It makes no sense. It's the most unhealthy thing ever. You know,
I did one fitness competition before my WWE days, and it was interesting. I mean, like, it was like a local one, and there was only like 2 guys competing in my class, but it was very interesting because, like you said, you feel your weakest, but you look really good. I also didn't think it was fair because I had only dieted for a week, while the guy that was in there with me was like training for months. It was like I had just a certain base fitness that I was already in, so it wasn't really fair, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
So it was a one-time and done type deal?
Yeah, I just wanted to see it, wanted to try it, and that's when like I started enjoying the whole dieting part, because I always knew that when I was younger, you can get away with eating anything, right? When you're young. Then you get older and you realize I need to clean up my diet. And for me, it was like, I know I'm disciplined. I know I work out hard. I just need to, you know, you can't out-train a bad diet.
Right.
And not that I had a bad diet. I just figured if I want to get to the next level, I need to dial it in. And I don't know what I'm doing. And then Seamus, you know, recommended me to you. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect.
Well, the thing is, your physique is one of those physiques where if you want to get bigger, you can get bigger. If you want to get leaner, you can get leaner. Your physique, you can push in either direction. Seamus is actually kind of the same way. He can get lean if he wants to and bigger. Some guys, it's super hard for them to get lean or super hard for them to get big, you know, but you guys seem to have that mesomorphic kind of build where it goes either direction if you decide to push it in that direction. But have you, you know, been training like this for X amount of years? Have you had any injuries? Because I don't really know you to be one of those individuals that have been out for a long time with injuries.
I had a rotator cuff tear in my left shoulder, and I was out for 4 months. And that was pretty much it. I tore a bunch of tendons in my hand. Never really took time off for that. But other than that, it's just a lot of bumps and bruises. And I'm sure if you would go X-ray or MRI some parts of your body, they would be like, okay, this needs to be fixed. But I also credit my training for that because, I mean, I had shoulder surgery, and I feel like my shoulder is stronger than ever. And I still do overhead stuff. I still do snatches. I still do, you know, jerks, all that kind of things. And people are like, oh, aren't you scared with your shoulder? I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's why my shoulder held on for another 2 months.
Right.
Because I wrestled with a torn rotator cuff for 2 months.
How? That's I tore mine. It's so painful. How did you like?
It was painful, but then like it kind of started going away. And then like it was just like on certain movements, you know, it hurt. And then I was like, okay, let's have it looked at. They were like, well, it's torn. You should get that fixed. But I feel like the stronger your muscles are and the stronger your body is, the better you can handle those injuries and also prevent them.
Right.
So that's why I also, advise functional training. Just, yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like that's a big part of it.
absolutely. With again, what you guys are doing is very dynamic. You're changing directions a lot. I mean, you guys do have a big body weight for what you guys are doing and stuff. And I think that a lot of people underestimate. They say like, well, wrestling's fake. You don't really have to do this. You don't have to do that. Now, I was in the independents for 4 years. And when I walked through that door, they were like, "What do you?" And I was big. They said, "What experience do you have?" I said, "I wrestled in high school." They said, "Good. That has nothing to do with what we're doing here." Right? And I just kind of laughed, but it was like I realized that if I told somebody, "Hey, I'm going to pick you up over my head and slam you on your ground on your back, is it going to hurt?" And they go, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, that's kind of like wrestling is, except
Yeah,
now you know how much it's going to hurt because you've done it before."
yeah,
So your body takes that impact and that beating. It's not the same as somebody training in the gym. Like there's a different type of like
yeah. I think we
response.
all have like calluses on the back because like one of the people always think the ring is soft. They're like, "Oh yeah,
Right.
it's padded." I'm like, "Yeah, it is padded, but so are the blue mats at the gym." You know what I
Right.
mean? So, and it's still you don't want to fall down and then like and do that on a daily basis. I mean, we do it 4 times a week or 3 times a week now, 3 to 4 times. It used to be for the first 5 years I came to WWE. It was 5 times a week,
Yeah.
every week, all year round. And then one of the funniest things to do is remember the first time you hit the ropes.
Yes.
Like you
Yes.
just hit,
Vividly.
you're like, oh, this looks like fun, and it's every single time you get somebody in the ring that like a celebrity or somebody that comes to a show, and they're like, I want to get in the ring and I want to hit the ropes because that's they think it's fun, and you see us like we spring out of the ropes and it gives them momentum and everything. They hit the ropes twice, they go like, these are hard.
Yeah.
They can barely move them because you have to throw yourself in
Yeah.
them. They're like, it's really hard. So like when they hit the ropes, you can see like the next day you have like rope marks in the back and
Yep.
everything. And like, so I'm pretty sure all that stuff is calloused, So just you just get used to it.
My ribs and my hip. That was pretty much
Yes.
what took the brunt of that. And I remember like running the ropes, and then what they did was they just kind of showed me to kind of bounce off one, and they'd say always go to the right, and we just kind of bounce around the ring
Yeah.
before we ran. But then when we started running, it was only 20 seconds into it, and I couldn't breathe, and
Oh,
I was in good shape. It was just there was
it blows
nothing
you up
you
so bad
could
because
not breathe.
it's like up and down and like you drop down, you leapfrog, you hit the ropes, everything, and then it's like, and then the ring has a little bounce and
Right.
it's a little soft, like you said, so it's like that extra thing, so your body just works like there's no workout like it. I got this fitness tracker, I got the Whoop, and
Okay.
it tracks like my heart rate, my calories, everything, like sleep, everything, and I kind of looked it up, and right now it's kind of a slower period for us because there's I don't have that many live events, but on a regular day I burn between 2,500 to 3,000 calories, right? So like if I work out, it depends on the work or whatever. When I wrestle every night, it's like 4,000
Yeah.
easily, 4,000, 4,500. So like if you do that 4 days a week, you burn so many more calories. That's why I was kind of like, hey Jerry, can we adjust my numbers? I don't have those 4,000 calorie days in my week anymore. So that's why it's like it's different when you're on the road a lot or like on tour. You just burn so many calories, you can eat different. Then you get home and you're like, okay, slow down.
And I don't think people understand that you eat really clean too. Like overall,
Um,
you have your cheat meals and stuff that you do, but you eat pretty clean overall too.
yeah, I don't eat bad food really. I don't like sweets. I don't have a sweet tooth. I like chocolate a lot, but I have like a little bit every night when I'm home. And by a little bit, I mean like when you have like a row and you have a
The square.
little square. Like I have
Square.
like a little square or like whatever. It's so small, but just like gives me enough chocolate, and it holds me over. And I feel like I did P90X many moons ago, and that was the first time I actually dieted. And then it was like, okay, diet for 90 days, and then cheat day. I ate so much of that cheat day.
Oh
I
wow.
felt so bad. It was like literally, I felt like all my work was undone on that one day, and I felt bad for the next 4 days. So I just figured instead of a cheat day, I just have either a cheat meal or just like now I just sprinkle it in wherever the
Right.
macros work, and it's so much healthier because then you don't build up that craving,
Right.
and then you don't eat a whole lot and feel like because there's been when I had like a cheat meal or something, it's like, oh, okay, today's cheat meal day, but I don't really feel like it. But you
Right.
just force yourself to do it instead of like, oh, you know what, I don't need to. I just have this tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Now, did you get physically sick from it when you ate that
no, no,
cheat
no.
day?
I
No,
just
no.
I just ate like way too much. I think it was like a Chinese buffet, and then I had Taco Bell, and then like I wanted some Wawa on the way back. It was like I just ate way too much.
There's a lot
So
of
like
times when your body's, I don't want to say cleaned out, but if you're used to eating good food and you're not used to eating junk, and you eat something, you actually feel physically ill. Like you feel kind of
Yeah.
lethargic and bloated, and your stomach's kind of messed up. And
Yes. Especially like I like good food, and that sounds silly, but like so on the road I eat. I always try to eat like six times a day, and I eat like the trifecta meals.
mm-hmm.
They're like awesome, and so like I have that, and then like I go have breakfast because I love breakfast. It's my favorite meal of the day, so I have local breakfast, and then I have a protein shake, and that's pretty much it. But like the breakfast is awesome, and it's always like local, it's fresh, it's good. And then people are like, oh, I don't want to have like a Big Mac, and I'm like, no, if I want to have a hamburger, I want to have a proper like go to a nice restaurant, have a good hamburger, or make one myself. That's good. Or like cookies. We always have catering at TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sure you've seen it with like a little snack table or whatever
Yeah.
that shows. And people are like, oh, you never had I've never had any kind of sweet from catering ever.
Really?
With WWE, no,
It's
because
just not attractive to you at all.
it's not attractive. Those are the cookies that you buy at the grocery store.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
There's a store here in Orlando called Gideon's that makes the best cookies. They're almost like cakes. They're like an inch thick and like 3 inches wide, and they're just the most delicious cookies I ever have. So if I want to have a cookie, I'll have that one. I don't want to have the one that
like the Chips Ahoy from the supermarket or something.
Yeah.
That place that I had sent you those cookies from before, those vegan ones, they actually closed.
Yes.
They
really?
literally like 2 weeks ago, like they said all of a sudden they're like, look, we're going out of business. So like we got to find another place around here. I think we went to Whole Foods, but that place just had things that we couldn't find other places.
Yes.
It was like those specific type places and stuff. So like when we first started working together, you had sent me over your macros. Were you following macros before, or were you doing just calories, or have you always been into macros? Or
No, so I did before I came into WWE, I did macros as well. Kind of like it was the same, like it was just like fats, calories, and protein by this guy named I think it was Rob Knox. He was out of New Jersey. He helped me with my competition back 10 years ago. And then I came into WWE, and I was on the road so much, and I was like, you know what? There's no way I can count calories on the road because that was like before fitness tracker and everything. Like I was at home, I was like weighing it and everything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? It's too much to do it on the road because I always feel. If it's a hassle, you dread it, and if you dread it, you're just miserable. And I don't, I want to eliminate all the stuff that brings me misery from my life. And then, I just ate healthy because I like healthy food. So I used to start out with just had like Chipotle 2 or 3 times a day. But when I go to Chipotle, it's just rice, black beans, and chicken. I can eat that every day. It's great. And then Seamus started. Counting carbs, so I was like, cutting macros. I was like, I know. Oh, because also, I don't know if he told you, he had a bet with himself and all his viewers that he can be lighter than me at WrestleMania, and he never told me. He never told me. It was just like every day he was like, how much do you weigh now? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't weigh myself. Probably 220. He's like, I almost got you. I'm like, it's Mania. He's like, I almost got you. I'm like, wait, that was a thing? You should have told me. So yeah, that's just our friendly competition.
So people don't realize that you guys actually are good friends. It's not just on TV.
No, we are really good friends, and it's fun because we actually became really good friends through like we were acquaintances, like we knew each other from work, but then when we became a tag team, we actually became really good friends.
Yeah, he speaks super highly of you all the time. Like he never says anything but good things about you all the time.
He's the best. He's like my big brother that I ever had.
So now, when you guys started doing the bar stuff, was there any kind of direction that you guys were going in? Like Sheamus is going to be the big one, Cesaro's going to be the ripped one, or that just kind of that's just the way it was.
That just kind of happened. Yeah, we just kind of went with whatever we had, which that's what made it unique and that's what made it authentic.
Right. Now, as far as we were talking about injuries before, you've had like the shoulder injury. Have you had any like the back injuries or the head injuries or anything like that? Like a lot of the guys have.
No, luckily not. I mean, like, again, I'm sure if I would go look, right? So it's not. I feel like lower back is always something, or like back, neck, shoulders. It's something all the time, kind of. So that's why you have to find a workout style and a lifestyle that works for you.
Right. So there's definitely one thing I wanted to ask you about. I know that people, they wonder about it because I've seen it online. I've seen people actually asking, like, the swing. Like, how does he not get dizzy and fall over with the swing? Oh, we're having a problem with the network over here. There he is.
Oh,
Okay, there we go. We got a connection network problem.
It was a great cliffhanger. You said they were actually asking, and you just froze. So.
So the swing, people ask all the time, like, how does he do the swing and not get dizzy or fall over? Like, I watched you do it at one show, and I was like, how the hell did he? And then you just continued on with the match.
So actually, the swing is a lot less about getting dizzy once you figure out where you have to look than it is about your legs getting tired.
Oh, really?
Because your legs get so tired because you just spin, and it's like imagining holding a really heavy weight and just spinning in a circle while the weight pulls you around, and you just have to it's like a whole body workout because you have to hold the guy, you have to spin it, you have to stay in place, and yeah,
So you don't get dizzy when you're doing it?
No, sometimes I do, but most of the times I don't. But I'm really good at Barry. So it takes me a couple of seconds after, and I'm good again. But I do hate spinny rides at theme parks.
Really?
I hate them. Can't go on. Yeah.
But you're known for spinning.
But I cannot.
But you're known for spinning in the ring.
Yes.
So I thought maybe it was one of those things. So like when you're training to get to be a wrestler, you do these forward rolls like 3 or 4 times. You stand up and take a clothesline, and it's supposed to stimulate you getting a concussion and being able to go. So I'm like, maybe that conditioning actually got him to the point where he can be dizzy as hell, and he's still able to work in the ring.
I don't think you're supposed to get dizzy when you do rolls. I think it's more to get used to, because we do a lot of movements in the ring, and I feel like I did a lot of rolls training and stuff like that. And for me, it was always that no matter what happens, you know where you are in the ring. If you take a forward roll, you know exactly where you are. You know your positioning. Really good ring positioning, I think, is so hard because you always know where you're at, you always know where your opponent's at, and you always know where your feet are because, there's a lot of people with bad footwork. So I think that's maybe that's what helped me, that I'm really good at doing rolls, and we did it for years and years.
Yeah, I remember doing the rolls. They were a giant pain in the ass, and I always got up and just hoped that I didn't hit my head on the mat when I get hit. Like that was the whole thing. So going on from here, how old are you now?
39.
39. So you're 39 years old. Now, of course, you're probably noticing, I remember being 39, your body starts changing. Like there's nothing, it sucks. You want to totally ignore it and rationalize it's not happening, but it's happening. Like, where do you see your training going from here? Do you want to continue doing what you're doing? Do you want to start out some new things or?
No, I think I definitely want to continue. I feel like I'm feeling better than I have, I always try to feel and look better every day. Like there's no 1 year goal. It's just like if I can feel and look better every day a little bit, I think that's the long-term goal.
Yeah.
And I feel like this training I do right now is working out well. I'm taking care of myself. I feel like if I do something, it's going to involve more prehab, more stretching, more with all the compression stuff that's coming out. We have those what are they called? Like the ice stuff that compresses your body. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Maybe do more stuff like that. I know that the ice baths, I absolutely hate them. I'll never do those.
Have you tried the cryo stuff?
I've never done cryo.
I've done it a couple times. It's a little weird.
I always ask our doctors and their trainers because they're always up on that stuff. And it's kind of with most of that stuff is, can you do it on a regular basis?
Right.
It's kind of like, if you do it once, it's not going to make you feel great. But if you do it constantly and on a regular basis, it will help. It's the same with like stretching. If you stretch once every month, it doesn't do anything. But if you do it every day, so for me, it's like, okay, what can I feasibly do or add to my workout or daily schedule that I know I will continue to do, and I can do on the road. I know I can stretch on the road. I know I can work out on the road. Now I need to find some other stuff that I can do.
Interesting. Very cool stuff, man. So we're coming up on the half hour now. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Is there anything you want to put out there that we haven't talked about, or to say anybody? Or
no, I don't have anything to plug. I tell you that. Except I feel like one of the biggest differences was your help with the diet, because I feel like before I was just kind of doing whatever, and I feel that just to me it helps because it gives you a guideline. And it gives you, it's almost like playing Tetris with your numbers, right? Like
constant adjusting.
Today I want to have a cookie, so how do I fit this in without going over on carbs? So that to me is the fun part, and I think people are afraid when they hear the word diet because they think it's restrictive, and they think it's like something that's really hard to do. It's actually not. You just have to commit to it. And once you're on one, it's like, to me, I don't feel like I'm dieting because I'm eating great food. I'm eating a lot of food, sometimes more, sometimes less. But I feel like that's the thing. It's like people just don't be afraid of the word diet, and don't be afraid to ask for help and go to somebody that actually knows what they're doing.
Right.
Because if you're doing it by yourself, like I heard this really good thing on a podcast recently, and it was like, don't be afraid to admit what you don't know,
right,
or what you're bad at. And I'm like, yeah, because like I'm the guy that always wants to do stuff by himself. I'm like, no, I can do it. I don't want to ask for help because I don't want to bother people. That's just me. I don't want to bother people. But to admit that, no, I don't know a thing about diet. I know how to eat clean, but I don't know, like
how to work the numbers.
How to work the numbers.
Yeah.
So when Seamus told me, like, hey, talk to him like I Jerry, I'm like, sweet, because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to dieting, but you do. So it's like I feel like reach out and make human connections. It's the same with going to the gym. People are like, how do you start? I'm like, well, like what exercise? I'm like, just go to the gym and do what you like.
Yeah. Because
once you like doing what going to the gym, the rest will come by itself, because then you like going to the gym and you have fun. And when you have fun, stuff is just easier to do, right?
Yeah, when life is fun, life is not bad, right? And then you get really good habits of going all the time, and then you learn new things, and then you enjoy it even more and stuff like that. And I mean, it was really fun to watch you when we first started working together, how week to week I just tune in. Usually like people do progress pics, and I'm like, well, progress pics, like for you guys, the way that you are in the ring is 3-dimensional, and the lights are so bright. So if you send a progress pic, it could be like, oh, he looks great, and then you walk in the ring, and it looks smoother. So I'd watch every week.
The lighting washes you out so bad.
Everybody.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh, I'm tan, I'm jacked. And then I see a picture of me in the ring. I'm like, oh, I look like a white blob.
So we went backstage. My wife and I went backstage to see you in DC that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, he looks so much more ripped backstage. What the hell is going on? And then I realized when I went back out to watch some of the matches, I watched them coming out. I was like, oh, it's those lights. Because bodybuilding has bright lights, but you guys have even brighter lights than the bodybuilding stages. So it definitely washes you guys out.
Seamus is the only person that looks absolutely shredded without a tan.
Right. He's just super lean, man. But again, like you said, he's a maniac. He will not stop until he achieves his goal. That's his thing.
Okay, I'll give you this one more story. It was WrestleMania, and he was, obviously dieting really hard. And we had media in the morning, and then we went to a firehouse for some kind of appearance, and then we came back to the hotel. At this point, we're driving back from the firehouse, and it's like 2 or 3 o'clock, right? And I'm like eating my 4th meal or something like that, and I'm like, he was like, oh man, I'm starving. And I'm like, do you want a protein bar? Because I always bring protein bars with me. I'm like, protein bars, let me know if you want. He was like, no, I still have to do fasted cardio. So because he couldn't do fasted cardio in the morning, because he was running, like, I don't know, he was running late or he couldn't get up early, he didn't eat until 3 o'clock so he could do fasted cardio. That's the first thing to do. And then he ate. I'm like, you're a maniac.
This just turned into the Seamus story share. So he called me one night from wherever they were. You guys were like way out in the middle of nowhere. And he said, man, I haven't hit my fat macros, but I'm on point with my protein and carbs. What do I do? I was like, all right, well, is there a store around you? He goes, no, there's just nothing around me. I'm like, shit. I said, is there a restaurant? He goes, no. I'm like, all right, go down. Do they have a breakfast thing? He goes, I think they got breakfast. He's like, go down and ask them if they have peanut butter. So he goes, all right. So he hangs up. About 10 minutes later, he calls me back. He's got like 10 of those little Smucker's peanut butter things in his hands. Like there's like a whole pile of them, right? And he goes, all right. And he looks at it. He goes, each one has this many calories, this much fat. How many should I eat? All right. How many macros you get left? This much. All right. Eat 4 of those. He's like, okay. He hangs up. He eats the 4 of those. He calls back. All right. Got them all in. I hit the numbers. That was like literally like 2 a.m. after he just wrestled, drove, flown, like his 4th day on the road or whatever. And he was like, he was going to hit that number. And if he's like 1 gram over, he's like, man, I'm 1 gram over, man. Like he stresses out about it. He's just such a perfectionist in it.
I know. I have a 10 gram plus or minus, which is always minus. So as long as I'm within 10 grams, I'm fine.
That's why I love working with him, because he doesn't care. He will train until he passes out, falls down. Like doesn't care. If
you tell him something, he'll do it. Yeah. Period. He's awesome.
This is great. So yeah, we're actually over the time, man. CESARO, thank you so much for taking the time, man. I know you guys are super busy and stuff, and there's a million other things you could be doing besides doing this. So thank you so much for taking the time.
I love doing this. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much, Jerry.
We'd love to have you on again sometime in the future, anytime you get time, man.
Awesome. Yeah, dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All
We'll
right.
talk to you
Glad it
soon.
worked out. Thank you, Jerry. Take it easy. Bye bye.